allow us to begin. This is a flashback. Showdown time. My final trial. Interesting. Good morning, Mr. Enigmar. I'm sorry to have sprung you on this so suddenly. I received the files from your previous attorney only yesterday. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure I'm prepared. I understand I'm asking the impossible of you. Yes, well, you haven't really told me what happened yet. All we did was play cards, and that was enough. Actually, it wasn't. Trust me. Aww, that's juicy. Hello. I'm so glad you came. Okay, Dad. I'm picking on you. I'm fine, as always. This old boy is here to help me, after all. That's young man to you. Good morning. That's a cute outfit you have on. Thanks. My first show today, after all. Oh, I'm sure it is. What the heck is she talking about? That's gruesome. My client in this case usually goes by a stage name Zach Granbury. Shady in a... Wait a second. Shady Smith? The dude that died in the first trial? Oh my god, it is! Holy shit! Magnify Granbury. The victim in this case died after being shot in the head in the hospital. That's Shady Smith. No way. Holy shit. What is this game, dude? Oh, old boy. Huh? Me? Look what he started. Here. What's this? I don't know. I just got over there in the hall. They told me to give it to the old boy in the blue suit with the spiky hair. They said it was really important. What's this?
Hello.
What's this? A memo for you or some such? Not from the looks of it. What is this? Looks like a page from someone's diary or something. I'll give it a read later. Well, how do you feel about the trial today? It seems fate's clock will make me wait a little longer. At least, only lost that for swift memories, something. To all there who have supported me in my life's work, I give thanks. Farewell. Magnify Granbury. We'll get through it, somehow. Incidentally, the prosecutor today is a new guy here. Ah, an easy win then, yes? They're calling him a true thoroughbred in the history of the prosecutor's office. Of course, there's one of those every year. The switching of the attorneys just before the trial. I know it is a difficult situation I put you in, but a allow me to say one thing, Mr. Wright. Yeah? They will not be able to pronounce me guilty today. So, do your best, but do not worry. First time a defendant's ever given me a pep speech. I'll do what I can. Ha 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 ha. I see you do not understand. You see, it would be impossible for them to declare a verdict. Impossible? Yes. Isn't that right, Trucy? Yep, you bet, Dad. My first look at the case was only yesterday, and the information I was given was a tad bit lacking, but to be honest. Still, I'll do what I can for their sake. I believe the curtains won't be lifting any time now. I am in your capable hands, Mr. Wright. My client is Shady Enigmar, known to the world as Zach Gramarye, a wildly popular magician who started the troupe Gramarye. His mentor, Magnify Gramarye, was a rare breed of magician. He single-handedly ushered the golden age of stage magic, until he shot dead. And Zach Gramarye is the suspect. April 19th, 10 a.m., District Court, Courtroom number 7. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ah, I'm playing actual Phoenix Wright. Oh, that's Clavier. He looks like a fucking faggot. Is the prosecution ready? I was just thinking. Is this what all the fuss is about? Bit of a buzzkill, really. Buzzkill? Is this some new kind of crime? One of the worst. This is a trial, yeah? Where are the sweaty palms, the pounding hearts? The Gavineer's concert's got 10 times the thrill this gig's got. Who were you again? Clavier Gavin. I came to get the party started. Legally, yeah? Gavin? Defense attorney Christoph Gavin's... figures my bro's more famous in this part of town. Clavier Gavin. Lead singer for the mega hit band the Gavineers. You're out of your league, rock boy. I know what you're thinking. You're out of your league, rock boy. True, my debut single, 13 Years Hard Time for Love, went platinum overnight. But that's just a hobby to me compared to this, yeah? Talkative, aren't you? I like your effective Euro-rock accent, by the way. I'm just getting warmed up. Air attorney right. Perhaps you would be so kind to fill us in on the case? Agdun, baby. Time to call on the opening act. What was his name again? Ah, yes, Detective Gumshoe. Hit it. It's Gumshoe. Oh, it's Gumshoe. And you are? Hey, you were the one who called me up here, sir. Name's Dick Gumshoe. I'm a homicide detective down at the precinct. Detective Gumshoe? Long time no see. Hey, you! Me? Today's the day, pal. Today I win and you lose. I got confidence in my testimony today, see? What? You don't really lack confidence in your testimony. Air detective, this is my stage. Can the evidence? Huh? All this hey youing and such, and I could care less about your history together. Very well, Detective Gumshoe, if you would. Please tell us about the case at hand. It happened 6 days back in the room at the General Hospital. The facts are as simple as they come. Here's the crime scene. The victim was a patient, asleep in the hospital bed. The killer comes in, puts a pistol to his forehead, and bam, lights out. Them's the facts. Not so long ago, the victim, Magnify Gramarye, was a famous man. He had the entire country under his magical spell, as it were. Yeah, the great magician. He retired years ago, though. Say the name Magnify to one of my generation and you'd be lucky to get a blank stare. Yes, though I'm sure the youngsters today know his disciples even better. I dare say Troupe Gramarye has made themselves quite a name. Anywho, the retired Magnify's been in the hospital for the last year. What was it? A mal-ignorant tutor or something. Doing something to his liver, I think. Yeah, a malignant tumor, perhaps. In other words, he had liver cancer. He had only 3 months left to live, in fact. I see. No hope of recovery. Patient 3 months to live. Patient has chronic diabetes. Requires regular insulin. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? He didn't seem... Oh, he's pretty skinny. The The facts do seem simple enough, but something's not right. The victim was already climbing a 3-month stairway to heaven. Why not wait for him to knock 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 on the heaven's door? Why shoot him? I wouldn't have put it quite so lyrically, but it's true. Why make the effort to commit murder when the victim was about to die? Incidentally, the victim had a serious case of diabetes. Diabetes? In fact, he was about to shoot up with insulin. When he was shot with a pistol, the syringe was found at the crime scene. Chronic diabetes and cancer, as much as it pains me to say it. The victim was clearly at the end of his life. Small syringe. It says, has been washed and shows no sign of use. I always hated getting shots. I guess Magnify was giving himself the insulin shots. There's no way I could do that. Wait, if Magnify used this to inject his insulin, why are there no traces of having it being used? Huh, something to keep in mind. Why'd the killer have to shoot his dying man? What reason could he have had? Very well, detective. Perhaps you can enlighten us to the circumstances of the shooting. Yes, sir. Oh my god, it even has the previous music too. I'm turning this up. Actually, the victim kind of ordered the defendant into a man. A few days before it happened, the victim sent a letter ordering his own murder. The defendant did what was asked of him and shot the old man in the forehead. The bullet was fired from the pistol found at the scene, no doubt about it. And the pistol definitely did belong to the old man, sir. What the fuck? You're saying the victim ordered his own shooting? Those are the facts. I have here the letter in question. To my beloved student Zach, to you I entrust the task of lowering my life's curtain. Come to the 13th, 11:05 p.m. I will ready a gun with which you will shoot one shot square in the forehead. You cannot refuse, and we both know the reason why. Magnify Grammary. Although, could such a thing as a letter really cause one to pull the trigger, I wonder? I believe the answer to that question can be found at the end of the letter. You cannot refuse, and we both know the reason why. There's a gumshoe. Can you explain this to the court? Unfortunately, even the defendant won't say a peep about that bit, sir. One thing bothers me about this. Why didn't he just say 11? Why have him come at 11:05 without some specific reason? The devil is in the details, heir for attorney. Well, was there some reason? As it turns out, there was. Every night, for a half hour, starting at 11, the victim, Magnify Grammary, was given an IV. An IV? There's in a picture, off to the side of the bed. At 11, a doctor would come to set the IV. 30 minutes later, he would come back for the empty bag. This happened every night without fail. So that was the only time they could meet without the chance of untimely interruption. During his IV. Very well, shall we begin? Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you would. What's this reason he couldn't refuse, I wonder? He couldn't have at least mentioned it to me. That's so sick. How can you be so sure? Hey, you gotta learn to stop relying on people to do your thinking for you, pal. Learn to think for yourself. Get that noggin cranking. You failed to grasp the concept of questioning, detective. First, we got this letter. It says shoot in the forehead loud and clear. I can see that, but I still wouldn't do it. Well, maybe you need to grow yourself a backbone, pal. You fail to grasp the concept of shooting people as bad, detective. You also found the defendant's pistol at the scene. A trace of the gunpowder residue shows that it has been fired recently. Well, Mr. Wright? As far as I can tell from looking at this photo, there seems to be no issue with the prosecution's claim. A photo? Maybe there's something in there I can use. He shot that instead. Looking at this photo, another possibility occurs to me. Yes? What does the letter tell us? That the defendant had a reason he couldn't refuse his teacher's wishes. Bingo, pal. That's why the defendant popped him one on the forehead. Oh? The defense disagrees. You see, the defendant had another choice he could make.
Objection!
What, and you can prove with that this photo? Yes, I can. I can prove he had a choice, yes. The defendant might have fired like he was ordered, but he didn't shoot the victim's forehead. Well, let's hear what you're thinking, Mr. Wright. If he didn't shoot the victim's forehead, what did the defendant shoot? Right there.
Take that!
The clown doll. Take a closer look. See? It's been shot in the forehead, too. Oh! There's a hole in his forehead. Yes, and a hole in the prosecution's claim.
Objection!
And I suppose you have a reason as to why he'd shoot the clown doll? He didn't just shoot the doll, he shot the doll's forehead. His forehead? Let's read the orders once more, shall we? You will shoot one shot square in the forehead, which is exactly what he did. He shot the clown doll square in the forehead. The defense has raised an intriguing possibility. That hole in the clown's forehead, it definitely looks like it was shot. Bailiff, send someone to investigate this matter.
Objection!
I admit, I'm impressed, but I expected nothing less. Still, that does not mean he didn't shoot the victim.
Objection!
Perhaps he did have to shoot in the forehead as ordered, but the letter says nothing about whose forehead. This was the only way he had to follow his orders without taking a life. How sad it is to see the novice's overconfidence. He doesn't realize just how big this little hole is going to get. Detective Gumshoe, please take this newfound fact into account as you continue your testimony. So let me get this straight. You're saying my client first shot the clown, then shot the victim? More of a confirmation than a summary, but whatever. That was really more of a confirmation than a summary, but our defense attorney seems to pleased with enough of himself. Do these people ever miss a chance to mock me? Well, now that Mr. Wright's gotten that out of his system, shall we continue with the testimony? I didn't have time to gather all the details before coming in here. This testimony might be my only source of information. Better pay attention. Read this letter carefully. That's a one-shot pistol. What the fuck? You mean this pistol, the one with the crime scene photo? That's the one. It's funny looking because there's no mistaking it. We compared the bullet taken from the victim's skull with the bullet fired from this gun. Rifling marks on the bullets were a perfect match. So, you verified the murder weapon, in other words. You bet we did. Why are you so certain? What pile of sand has your head been stuck in all this time, pal? You never heard of Zack and Valant's quick draw shooter? Huh? What's that? One of the defendant's specialties. Zack and Valant stand on either side of a girl. Then they shoot. But the bullets don't hit her. Instead, they hit everything else on stage. This is one of the pistols they use in their show. Got a great design, huh? The kids love it. Many boys and girls join the police just because of that pistol, I hear. You know, that would explain a lot about the police force. Troop Memory stopped doing that a while ago, though. The old man held on to that pistol ever since. The court would like to see the pistol in question. You got it, sir. Here she is. Well, this is truly a blast from the past. It's a stage pistol for magic shows, see? But it can fire real bullets. It looks so much bigger in real life than on TV. Yeah, but it can only hold one round. By the way, the pistol's firing chamber is empty. And it shows traces of having been fired recently. So, were any fingerprints found on the gun? Unfortunately, no. Of course, the defendant is known for wearing gloves. We might say that lack of fingerprints is, in fact, a fingerprint of its own. Intriguing point, well made. Whoa, 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 not well made, not intriguing. In any case, the court accepts this evidence. My grandchild would get a kick out of seeing this. If you look closely, you can see how the pistol is made to bend here. It's a one-shot only model, and I guess the spin is where you load it. So this is the famous Grammary golden gun. They say kids used to love pretending they had one of these. I wonder if they pretended to miss their targets too. But now it's time to return to our testimony. The trickiest cases often seem the simplest. Prosecutor Gabby, you missed a bullet hole in the clown's forehead. If you hadn't missed that, you might have come to a very different conclusion. Understand? Yeah, but like I just said, pal. After he shot the clown in the forehead, he went and...
Objection!
Did nothing of the sort to the victim. The pistol proves he could not. The murder weapon? How? It's quite simple, Your Honor. This pistol only holds one bullet at a time. Oh. If he had shot the clown in the forehead, he couldn't have shot the victim too.
Objection! Objection!
An utter lack of humility. It seems like the prosecution has another witness prepared. Like I said, Air Detective was just a warm-up act. Now that the audience has gotten a taste of what's to come, they're ready. Ready for what? For my decisive witness, of course. A witness who, you will find, can prove one thing for us. That it was Zack Grammar who shot the victim in the forehead. Very well. We will pause for a 15-minute recess. This might be my lucky break. I'll need the 15 minutes to talk to my client, Zack. Court is adjourned. Okay. This is kind of short, actually, but we'll see. This is interesting. Dude, the Blast from the Past. I haven't heard that music in game in like 3 months. This is so good. We're doing this one shot. Let's go. Very impressive, Mr. Wright. I have to say, I expected nothing less. We've only just begun, you know. I was hoping you could tell me a bit more what happened, actually. I did not think you would believe me if I told you. Better that you discovered the truth for yourself. I was thinking of you, you know. I think we need less thinking and more talking, man. That night in the hospital, what really happened? Ah, the way your eyes gleam, Mr. Wright. You'll scare Trucy. Speaking of which, where is she? You have seen the problem yourself, the letter. The one shot in the forehead. One, right? Yes, and the reason he speaks of. I could not deny my mentor's wishes, even if it meant my own death. Why not? This is something I will not say for now, at least. What's this for now business? I've done many things in my life, some well, some poorly. But this is a cross we must bear alone or to our graves. We? You wanted to know about the incident? Finally, this guy sure does not take his time getting to the important stuff. Of course, I have no intention of shooting my mentor. I snuck into his room that night at the appointed time. And found there upon his disabled 2 pistols. 2? Yes, the one I had used on stage, and the one that had been used by my partner, Valant. Oh, for the Zack and Valant's quick draw thing. My mentor had the look of one sleeping. I stood by his bedside, hearing only the light of sound breathing. Then I took the pistol into my hand. I cannot deny my resolve faltered then for a moment. You faltered? You mean you thought about shooting him? Recall there was a reason I could not refuse his request. His last such request, though not his first. So, there was other requests you couldn't refuse before? To be honest, I've not always been steadfast, and I fear I've brought pain upon Trucy. Was Magnify coercing his disciples somehow? Just what was going on in the troop Gramarye? Yet, in the end, I did not shoot him. Instead, I turned and shot the clown. I took the pistol I had fired and placed it in my pocket. In your pocket? I believe if you examine the bullet in the clown's head, you will find it to be different than one of my mentor. What were those called? Rifling marks? Yes. Well, that is all I have to tell you concerning the case. Concerning the case? You mean there's something else you can tell me? Ha ha ha. You are a fascinating man, Mr. Wright. Thanks? Yes, there is something. My mentor, his eyes opened. What? Magnify Gramarye? The old devil. He was not asleep, you see. Of course, the gunshot would have woken him anyway. And then we had our last discussion as mentor and pupil. It was not a long discussion, maybe 5-10 minutes or so. What did you talk about? Mr. Wright, did I not just tell you? It does not concern this case. Zack Gramarye. He seems to be steadfast to me. We're just stubborn. Mr. Wright, your presence is requested in the courtroom. Once again, I'm in your hands. Right, let's get back in there. April 19th, 11:37 a.m., District Court. Court is now back in session. During our recess, a bullet was found in and dug from the clown's head. Well, this is news, and the rifling marks? There wasn't much time to do a detailed analysis, but they did find a weapon weapon type matches the murder weapon. Well, that's not very conclusive, is it? Which means I'm about to call my very decisive witness. Your decisive witness? How many times have I heard those words? Though they often turn out to be far less decisive than you think. So we have to meet the great Magnify's other disciple. Oh wow, he doesn't even have a beard. Perhaps we'll start by asking your name and occupation. Valant Gramarye, magician. And you're the decisive witness, are you? You can prove your fellow student, your partner's guilt. Fate, the grand illusion, filled with traps and tricks. Wait, the shooting took place in that hospital after 11 o'clock at night. If you're a witness, does that mean you were there that late? If one were to... okay. That's the same letter Zach Ramery received. Yes, or perhaps I should say, ta-da. Oh my god. It must have been magnified. I was shot by Volant. No way, dude. Oh my god. We walked the magician's path together, so doing shared a bunch of our lives. When people are so close, they restrain a warping of relations, you might say. Yet this has nothing to do with the case at hand. By which you mean you're not going to tell us. Which means making me wonder even more about this reason they couldn't refuse. Well, let's get on with their testimony for starters. The defendant, Zach Ramery, stands accused. Tell us why. Oh, I'll do more than that. For where he walks, the red roses rise singing hymns to the miracle that is magic. Fascinating. Though I need to hardly remind you that the evidence could just as clearly point to you as a suspect. The letter, the murder weapon, and now the 2 bullets found at the scene. Hold on a sec. It seems fate's clock will make me wait a little longer. At least only less than 10 swift minutes remain. To all those who have supported me in my life's work, I give thanks. Farewell. Oh! So this was written after Zach left and Volant shot him in the fucking head. No way, dude. In fact, the only difference seems to be the designated time. As every magician knows, timing is everything. Yes. And now it's time to get this party fired up. That night, I visited the hospital room at the time Magnify requested. The smell of gunpowder hung in the room, and my mentor had taken his final bow. I did not imagine my fellow student might have received the same instructions. Yet a deal with the dead is still a deal. Death's sweet kiss I gave to the clown. Then I informed the doctor and the police. That's impossible, though, because because the murder weapon was. Let's not jump to any conclusions. Yes, the cross-examination generally comes before the conclusions in this court. But if your testimony proves to be true, then the defendant, Zach Ramery, is guilty. And if it wasn't Zach Ramery, then the killer was you, Volant. And no disappearing act will get you out of that. Which brings us back to this reason neither of you could refuse. So it does, and my partner, he did not refuse. But Magnify wrote the same thing to you. Why could you refuse if Zach couldn't? Because I have a will of steel, of course. I also do this trick where I bend steel bars, so perhaps steel isn't also strong. So which is it? Mind if I continue? Yet a deal with the dead is still a deal. That sweet kiss I gave to the clown. There were 2 bullet holes at the scene, one in the victim and one in the clown. You're saying the one who shot the clown was you? No doubt my partner Zach would have done much the same thing. Yeah, because whoever didn't shoot the clown committed the murder. I better dig around here a bit more and see what I can turn up. Mr. Volant, let me ask about something else concerning the crime scene. How many pistols were there when you entered the room? By which you mean what, precisely? 2 pistols were used in attacking Valant and Quick Draw Shoot 'em, right? One for each of you. You are well informed yet. Only one of my old friends sat in the hospital room that night. What did Zach tell me back in the lobby? Of course, I had no intention of shooting my mentor. I snuck into his room that night at the appointed time, and found there upon his bedside table 2 pistols. I took the pistol I had fired and placed it into my pocket. I see no problem with that statement. Only 1 pistol is visible in the photograph of the crime scene after all. So you picked up the pistol and fired it? Indeed, I did. Alakazam, Alakazing, Alakaboom. Is their number of pistols really so important? Quite important. The number of pistols is quite important, Your Honor. Very well. Please add this detail to your testimony. What can I do but obey? Only 1 pistol was in the hospital room that night. With it, I shot the clown.
Objection!
Yes. According to the defendant, Jack Gramery, when he entered the room, there were 2 pistols on that table. 2? One of those pistols he used to shoot the clown in the forehead. Then he left with it in his pocket. Of course, this is what he would say. Unlike the hapless clown, we must assume our defendant has some brains in his head. Well, what about what Mr. Valant has told us? You see, there is something about his testimony that doesn't make sense. What might that be? I told you, I took the pistol that was there and shot the clown. Objection! That's your story, at least. Because the rifling marks tell a very different story, Mr. Blunt. Recall what Prosecutor Gavin told us. We compared the bullet taken from the victim's skull with the bullet fired from this gun. The rifling marks on the bullets were a perfect match. Mr. Valant, if you fired this pistol, then you shot the victim in the forehead.
Objection!
What have I done? Prosecutor Gavin, I owe the court an apology. Sorry. Sorry for what? You see, I was unaware that 2 of these unique pistols were crafted. The analysis of the rifling marks only proved the type of gun that fired them.
Objection!
But that's not what you told us before. You said you verified the murder weapon. Which is why I'm apologizing to you now, quite sincerely I might add. Would you hold me accountable for a mistake made in my youth? That was just this morning. I'm still young, and I might add, it wasn't really my fault. If the defendant had only admitted he took 1 pistol from the scene of the crime, we would not be having this pleasant discussion now. He's 37, clean shaven. Oh, that's so cute. He's 8. Valant Gramery. Yes, Your Honor. You were presented to this court as a decisive witness, but you've proven to be more divisive than decisive.
Objection!
You'll see in time. The testimony so far has merely been a review of the facts. The proof comes next. Care to elaborate, Prosecutor Gavin? When Mr. Valant entered the hospital room, the victim had already been shot. As his next testimony will prove, right, the real fight is about to begin. Bring it. Very well. The witness will now testify to the court. Help determine who shot what. Oh no, I gotta present the fake evidence, don't I? Their debut single was only 2 minutes and 50 seconds long. What a ripoff. Magic is a world of utmost precision. Hocus pocus requires admirable focus. And in the time of death determined by doctor, there is an incontrovertible truth. Very well. The prosecution warns us that we are dealing with rather precise times, and we can expect the cross-examination to require the same level of precision. I would hope the defense refrains from its customarily broad sweeping accusations, lest we blur the focus this case so clearly demands. Point taken. Baseless remarks will result in penalty. Carry on, Mr. Wright. Carry on, right. Okay. You walk in on a murder, and the first thing you do is shoot the clown? The disciple does what the disciple must. My mentor's request, without reason, has caused me a survey of sorrow. For what I, Valant, can wait now without, may the soul to magnify the great find greater peace above. This I muttered to myself as I pulled that lonely trigger. In any case, I believe this is nothing more than what we have already learned. I'm still waiting for the one of right moments, ere returning. May I remind you that baseless remarks will earn penalties. Proceed with that in mind. Yes, Your Honor. What a pain this is turning out to be. I don't like this at all. I don't think I'm stepping out of a limb to say I have some doubts about this. How could the doctor be so precise with the time? I'm not sure I've heard of a verified time of death. Magic revels in making the complex appear simple, but the reality is the opposite. What appears complex in this case is a simple matter of subtraction. The point here is the 4 the victim was talking, or IV the victim was taking. It's quite visible in the photograph of the scene. Recall what he said earlier about the victim, Magnify Grammary's schedule. Every night at 11, Magnify took an IV trip for 30 minutes. I see the IV bag right there, yeah. I look a little closer. Now, follow the tube down from the bag to the end. Oh, the needle's been removed. Doubtlessly, it fell out when he was shot. It would seem to be the case. When the needle comes out, the IV no longer drips. Oh, you could just measure the remaining IV liquid. Precisely. The IV liquid functions, for our purposes, as an hourglass of sorts. This is how the doctor determined the time of death. From the amount remaining in the bag, it was determined that the IV had stopped 10 minutes after administration began. Ooh, cool. And so it was when I, Valant, entered that room. 10 minutes had passed since that horrible crime was committed. And this is proof. Mr. Wright? That seemed very important. Well, seeing how it is the biggest clue we have to the time of death, I'd say it's very important. Agreed. It would be hard to imagine a more precise way to determine the time. We know the power of arithmetic. Very well. The witness will add this detail to his testimony. Sometimes the most magical thing of all is the truth. Hold on. So the IV stops here. Did you notice the IV yourself by any chance? When first I entered that room, the stench of gunpowder assailed me. Next, the mark of death upon my mentor's forehead. And then his left arm did I spy arose, drooping and wilted. Its thorn, the discarded IV needle. Knocked from the vein by the force of the shot, lucky for you. If that IV had not been there, why, you might be a suspect. Undoubtedly so. I might say it's thanks to my lucky color. Your lucky color? Indeed, even today I wear it proudly upon my suspect self, for it always, without fail, brings me luck. Why, when Zack and Valant won their first Magician's Grand Prix, yes, the very one held by the Association of International Magicians, I was adorned in its attire too, and our trophy, a bust. Ah, what a day that was. Ugh, this is one trip down memory lane no one needs. Lucky color, yes. Indeed, and the IV too. I think it was cute, especially from Lee. Valant. That does seem to be the case, indeed. Well, Mr. Wright, any thoughts on this testimony? Valant sure looks happy with himself. Okay, how about this lucky color testimony? There's a contradiction. It certainly sounds like your lucky colors brought you plenty of luck, but not this time. Mr. Valant, your lucky colors betrayed you. I'm afraid that you've lost me. Your Honor, the witness's testimony just now clearly contradicts the evidence. What? Please recall my warning at the beginning of this cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Baseless accusations will be duly penalized. I do hope this latest accusation is well based. Based? That's a green color, not yellow. What the fuck? Don't worry, I've got all your bases right here. Very well, let's hear the defense's claim. Where's your evidence that contradicts what Mr. Valant just told us? The crime scene photo. Take that! The crime scene tells all, Your Honor. The photo of the crime scene? All this talk of color has me yearning for black and white clear-cut simplicity. Tell us, Herr Wright, just where is the contradiction in this photo? My pleasure, and I assure you, it's quite simple. But I can't promise anything in black and white. Valant Grand Marie, let's get one thing straight about your lucky color. It's yellow, yes? Kind of takes the mystery out of it, but yes. Something wrong with yellow, Mr. Wright? Yes, there is. Decisively wrong, in fact. Take another look at the photo of the crime scene. What's this? Confusion, doubt. Tell us, what do your elderly eyes spy? Even my elderly eyes can see a problem here, Mr. Valant. Look at the IV bag. What is this? What foul mag? It would be hard to call IV liquid yellow, and I'm afraid no magic was involved in taking this fucking photograph.
Objection!
This is some kind of mistake. Yes, Prosecutor Gavin, your witness's mistake. The greener they are, the harder they fall. I suppose there's no substitute for experience. Well, I'm Grand Marie, as you reminded us several times, your lucky color is yellow, but the IV is clearly not. Well, this contradiction can mean only one thing.
Objection!
And to think, you almost had me. I see your true colors now, Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright. Something you'd like to tell us, Prosecutor Gavin? As far as this court can tell, the witness's testimony does contradict the evidence. Yes, a contradiction. One I shall be pleased to hand back to Mr. Wright. How do you mean? How? Because the witness has no made mistakes. I agree at a glance that the IV liquid does appear a sort of greenish yellow, but I reassure you the liquid itself is quite yellow. Yellow liquid? How can you say that? As far as I can tell from this photo, it's green. Yes, but what color is the IV bag itself? The bag? You mean the plastic bag on the hook? It looks like I want to say a light blue? Precisely. Figured it out yet? Put a yellow liquid in a blue bag and you get green. This, incidentally, is the liquid's true color. I see. Your explanation does have the ring of truth to it.
Objection!
As I thought. There is no substitute for experience, Prosecutor Gavin. What? You may tell a good tale, but you've just proven something rather grave. For you, that is. Grave? The liquid in the IV is yellow, yes. But how did this witness know that? It's quite unnatural when you think about it. You did think about it, didn't you? Your Honor, the defense requests an explanation for the witness. At the scene of the crime, the IV bag appears to be green. So let me ask, how did the witness know the IV liquid was actually yellow? The witness clearly knew the color of the IV liquid, so I'm sure it means something. But what? I can think of only one possibility, Your Honor. The witness, Valant Marie, has testified that the IV liquid was yellow because... he'd seen it before. From the facts before us, the answer is clear. The witness knew that the IV liquid was yellow. Why? Because he'd seen it before. But not inside the blue bag he'd seen in the photo. He saw the liquid by itself in a clear colorless bag. I suppose he would have seen it too, but I'm not sure what this all means. Ask yourself, why would he know if he didn't work at a hospital? That's where you'll find your meaning, Your Honor.
Objection!
I'm afraid I find nothing, so what if he knew the IV liquid's color? Leave the getting excited over absolute nothing to our teeny bopper fans, yeah?
Objection!
The IV liquid is the only evidence proving the time of death. A 30-minute hourglass with 20 minutes worth of sand remaining. Your claim, Prosecutor Gavin. I remember it well. However, there's a critical difference between an hourglass and an IV bag. Wait, I know! An hourglass uses sand, but an IV uses bag and uses liquid. I'm right, right? As much as it pains me to say this, Your Honor, no. Unlike the sands through an hourglass, IV liquid enters through a patient's body, at which point, like magic, it disappears. However, what if the amount of IV liquid has increased? You couldn't tell, could you? After all, there was no way of knowing how much went in.
Objection!
Let me get this straight, right. You're saying the witness watered down the victim's IV bag? No, I didn't. Not with water, but with IV liquid. That's how you knew the IV liquid was yellow. Now wait, I said wait. How might an amateur such as myself essay to perform such a task? I'm an amateur too, but I can pour water into a cup.
Objection!
I'm afraid there's quite a big difference between a cup and an IV bag, quite. Can you prove our witnesses are capable of such a feat? He has a point, amateurs. I at least would have some difficulty pouring IV liquid into that bag. You don't need to be an expert to see the look on the witness's fucking face. He added liquid to the IV to throw off the time of death. I tire of these fairy tales lacking evidence. Well, Mr. Wright, any solid evidence to bring us back down to earth? Well, Aunt Marie, I'm afraid your magic won't serve you well in the life of crime. Might I ask what you're strongly suggesting? Magic relies on props, and props become evidence. Our witness was clearly, or certainly able to increase the amount of IV liquid in the bag. All you had to do was work a little magic, and the prop was...
Take that!
the victim's syringe? It's a perfect prop for the magically increasing IV trick, and easy enough for an amateur to use.
Objection!
What kind of evidence is that? The syringe was clean, and the trace of liquid in it.
Objection!
And don't you find that odd, Prosecutor Gavin? What? The victim had a syringe to administer his insulin shots. There should have been traces of insulin left inside. Well, Valant Marie, as you pointed out yourself, the IV liquid makes the perfect clock, one that you could manipulate at will. I do believe, well, with this time being his first, that the burden of this trial has been a bit too much for bear for Prosecutor Gavin. I'm afraid that, while there is a doubt as to the amount of IV liquid in that bag, the time of death cannot be proven, and that brings our trial to a close for today. Well, maybe I can could squeeze an extra day out of this. I can do a little much-needed investigation work. I see there are no objections. Court is...
Objection!
Truly, there is no substitute for experience. Nothing blinds one to the truth so effectively. A word to the wise. Underestimate the young and they'll sweep your feet from out under you, in a way you never ever expected. You see, I know exactly what you're thinking. What? What's he talking about? You say the witness used the syringe to manipulate the level of IV liquid, but there's no proof. There is no proof he didn't do it either. Yes, quite true. Huh? He's admitting it? Nor was his witness quite as decisive as I hoped. This, I admit, after all, why linger in the past when the future holds so much? You have something in mind, Prosecutor Gavin? Proof, Air Judge. I have another way to prove my case. With evidence, no less. What's this? This is the victim, Magnify Gramarye's diary. Diary? After going into the hospital, Magnify began writing his memoirs, it seems. The story of his birth, his startling debut, and of meeting his disciples. It seems he intended for the last chapter to end quite appropriately with his death. Wait, that book doesn't say what the reason was, does it? The reason why his disciples couldn't refuse his last request? Sadly, it does not. What's important here is the last page. Apparently, the victim wrote his journal that night, even after the IV had begun at 11 p.m. Let's read it, shall we? Tonight's IV is in, maybe the last. I leave the rest to them. The first should come soon. This journal may end here or it may go on, but not long. That depends on his hand. The court accepts this into evidence. Oh my god, the missing page. Read the very last part with particular care. This journal may end here or may go on, but not long. That depends on his hand. Of course, by his, he refers to our defendant, Zach Gramarye. That would make sense, yes. He was the first scheduled visitor after all. But look at what he said before that. His journal may end here or may go on. It may go on. Magnify Gramarye intended to write again. That is, if Zach Gramarye didn't pull the trigger. I see the defense understands the meaning of this. The victim's diary does not go on. It ends. Because Magnify's life was brought to an end by the defendant, Zach Gramarye. False, false, false. There is no mistaking his handwriting. Well, this does seem to be significant. According to this, Magnify did intend to continue his diary, yet if his diary ended here, which plainly it did, then the one who pulled the trigger was the first visitor, Zach Gramarye. Well, how do you like me now, Air Right? Still too green for your tastes, He was right about the diary being pretty clear. Still, I find it hard to believe that he'd overlook such an obvious problem with this previous precious evidence. Well, Mr. Wright, the witness's testimony we heard was lacking. If put together to this evidence, it seems quite sufficient for a case. If the diary is accepted like this, the trial's over. Maybe it's time for me to show them something. I'm left with no choice but to show my own evidence. What? You have some evidence that overturns this diary? It's not too late to think this and avoid more embarrassment. Oh no, he knows. No. Right. Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want to do it. Oh my god. I don't want to present it, dude. Oh no. Oh god, Phoenix. Ah.
Take that!
First, take a closer look at the diary. Note that the page has been clearly ripped out. What's this? I hadn't noticed that at all. That's why we're still here talking about this. As it just so happens, I have here what I believe to be the missing page. Aleka, I don't believe it. Looking at this page, it's hard to imagine that the first visitor that night shot Magnify Gramarye. That's the defense's position. Wait, let me see that. What in Sam Hill? Why, this is the continuation of the victim's diary. He's aware. Clavier is aware. He definitely knows. Note the torn edge of the page. It's a perfect match with the torn remnants of the last page in Magnify's diary. Quite remarkable. Would you care to explain what all this means, Heir Attorney? The diary continued after his first visitor came, which means that the victim was still alive after Zach Gramarye left, leaving no one to take his life but the second visitor. Zach Gramarye. The handwriting, too, matches that on the other pages. This is without a doubt the genuine article.
Objection!
Resist what? Presenting solid evidence? Heir Judge. Yes, Prosecutor Gavin. Might I request we put the current cross-examination on hold? The prosecution would like to call a new witness. But Prosecutor Gavin, this evidence overturns the current witnesses. I ask only to not put it on hold. Please, my new witness has a very, very important piece of testimony to give. 5 minutes, no more. I promise, Your Honor. Well, if you put it that way, Mr. Wright, what's your take on this? Well, Your Honor, judging from his enthusiasm, we'll have to hear this new testimony sooner or later anyway, so it might as well be sooner. Oh, God. I had a bad feeling just then. That ripped out page was too obvious. He must have known. And I should have known it. It was a bad sign all around. A judiciary deal? The details of his testimony may have come some legal ramifications, shall we say. I thought it best to contain the information to this room. Very well, and you are the witness, I gather. Yes, sir. State your name and occupation for the record. Drew Misham. I'm a painter. A painter? And you are somehow related to this case? No, well, not per se. I have one simple question for this witness. Mr. Misham, was it? Do you know what this is? Oh, yeah. I know it well. How's that possible? Haven't you seen this diary page somewhere before? Oh, yeah. I mean, I made it. Fuck. You made it? You might call it one of my works. The regional prosecutor's office received a tip-off yesterday. Illegal evidence has been prepared for the trial of Zach Gramarye. Illegal evidence? I initiated an investigation and found this witness. A painter to the world at large, Drew Misham has another side, you might say. He is skilled in making perfect reproductions of certain things. Forgeries, in other words. Forgeries? Well, so we are to understand that this page here is a fake, prepared by a certain defense attorney.
Objection!
Hold it! I didn't prepare this evidence.
Objection!
Ah, the attorney speaks. Something about this page, I presume. But what is he saying? It makes no sense. After all, it was you who presented this evidence to us. I don't know. What? Most of my clients prefer to remain anonymous, even to me. I make the items they want and receive my payment. That is the extent of my contract with them.
Objection!
But there's no proof that this is a fake. It's a fake. Huh? To avoid just this sort of problem, I always put a special mark on my works. I can say without a doubt, this is mine. Oh god.
Objection!
Mr. Attorney? Yeah? Could I ask your name? Why, Phoenix Wright. Mr. Wright, I have seen and studied many people, but none like you. I'll remember you, Mr. Wright. Though I deeply regret having to declare a verdict in this way, this trial is over. You have the right to find a new attorney and make an appeal. However, this court must... Your Honor? Yes, Mr. Zach? There's one thing I wish to make clear. Today, in this courtroom, you cannot declare me guilty. It is impossible. Except, tell me, how do you plan on announcing your verdict when your defendant does not exist? Doesn't exist? What are you talking about? I'm talking about this. Mr. Enigmar, what the fuck? The defendant escaped, find him quick. Bailiff, close all exits from the building. Holy shit, what the fuck? That day in that courtroom, a miracle occurred. The defendant, Shady Enigmar, aka Zach Zoomer, did not just escape from court, he literally unbelievably vanished. Right before the bailiff's eyes. No one ever saw him again, not since that day. This is the Grammary miracle. Ha 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 ha. What a boss. Holy shit. No verdict was declared. After all, the defendant didn't exist. That's how it happened. The trial of magician Zach Grammary vanished along with him for all eternity. The mysteries that remained behind were all solved, however, but not until 7 years later. What a baller ass case. Holy fuck.